The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, the largest agricultural lender in Texas. Capital Farm Credit, together, we're better. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. The Aggies and ULM on Saturday, 3 o'clock at Kyle Field, 2 o'clock with our St. Joseph Health pregame show. And we revert back to Saturday, Miami, and get the thoughts on that one. But first, we say howdy to Coach Fisher. Yep. Howdy, Jimbo.
Howdy. Disappointing in some great things we did. We started really good, made plays in all three phases of the game. Special teams, I got a block punt and a fumble recovery. Offense, we moved the ball very well. Defense, we played to run extremely well. I mean, they averaged less, almost 2 yards of rush. I mean, that was a big thing going in. They were able to get to big pass plays on some scenarios. They got a kick, and we gave up a kickoff return too. And we missed a field goal and had some opportunities. I mean, that game was back and forth, and we had it in control, but they kept battling, and we battled back. And then we had two crucial. We slipped on a route and had a critical fumble on 3rd and 1, and could never get back on top. The kids didn't quit. They played hard, give us a chance to come back. But it gets down, I always say this, turnovers and big plays are the first two things, indicators in games. And we had 2 turnovers, and they had more big plays, and we had some big plays, but they had a few more than we did, and didn't get enough points on the board, and could have won it.
Do those plays on special teams count as big plays to you?
Oh, yeah, they set up points. And the ones we give, unfortunately, we gave one up, which was rare, and I'll plead the fifth on the other part of it, but, that is what it is. But if they don't call them, there are penalties, and that is what it is. And you have to be smart when you do those things. No matter what, you have to overcome things. When you're on the road, you always are battling uphill, so you got to bring your A game to do it.
Being on the road, and what a fantastic start, the tackle by Sam. And Miami starts that first drive on the 10.
Well, they did it, and then we get a block punt.
Yeah.
Jade Walker comes through and gets a punt block, and then we capitalize and score, get another great drive down and score again, and which could have got a touchdown on that drive. We ended up getting a field goal. Then they get a drive and hit, and then we come right back again on hit a nice drive to the 50, and they muff a punt. We're hustling right down there on it. It was a perfect ball about the 7-yard line by Nick, and cover kicks really well all day except for the one kickoff. And we had a critical missed field goal, too. We were up 17-14 right before half, fixed to make a field goal to make it 20-14 with less than a minute to go. And then, you got the ball coming out, which we did score again coming up second half. But then we missed the field goal, and then they go 75 yards and get that, which was, very disappointing.
The on that kick by Nick, It was an odd spin, and to me it's something that Jacoby George I don't think had seen before.
Well,
but you talk about that coverage all the time, Jimbo, where you're not just assuming he's going to fair catch it at the 7, right?
You got to crowd. We practiced that, crowd the guys behind him and then crowding that ball carrier. Could have crowded him some more. We obviously kicked that, it was more like a kickoff, and he just, I guess they took his eyes or whatever he did. But Coop was right there to jump on it. And so when Sam almost jumped on it too. Mm-hmm. But, we got guys converging to the ball, guys behind, because they fake kick that, fake catch it, and then you can still down it to 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is. And we did a really good job in that regard.
I love that it was a 3-play, 15-yard drive after the block punt. I love that it was 2 plays, 9 yards, that you immediately made Miami pay.
Yeah, we could have had a 1 play. We missed the throw.
I know. Jake was wide open.
He was. We hurried it. Just got a little antsy and hurried it. But it was good. And then we were able to pop the run back. And Amari made a nice run, and we blocked it well. And we were able to run the ball. It
was nice to really watch Amari thrive, I thought, in that primary running back role. I know you have 3 of them. I get it. Yeah. But we've talked before, stronger and faster Amari Daniels.
And unfortunately, Le'Veon was unavailable at the game. We thought he was going to be able to, and he couldn't quite at the end. But he carried a big role, and then Ruben played in there too. But Amari's getting better. He ran the ball really well in the game, and had the one unfortunate fumble, but he still ran the ball well, caught them, made a couple of nice catches, picked up blitzes. He's playing really solid football.
I have to ask you about a play. It's the one where Miami shifts their defensive line a step to the left. Mm-hmm. And it's the throw to Ruben Owens that goes for about 25. Does Connor make that call, or was that the play that was in?
No, that was in. That was called. We had to call, and it was a read and a man coverage, and their defensive end was going to have to, as they blitz, we slid the front, blocked it, and their end had to cover him more, and he got tied up with the receiver. And that's one of the first reads on the play, and where we went to his progression.
One of those big plays right there.
Good to see. Ruben made a nice catch, got down the sideline. It was second drive of the game, I believe, about 25, third down that we popped through there.
You were asked today in the media conference call for SEC about guys like Ruben Owens, about guys like Chris Basantis, about guys like Torian York. To be a freshman and playing in college football now is extremely special, isn't it?
It really is. And it shows, too. I think guys are maturing at an earlier age. They're working out more. They're developing the nutrition. All those things are letting their bodies be in better shape. Kids are bigger, faster, stronger, and they're getting, and that's the key. A lot of guys have talent, but your strength, especially on the offensive lines and defensive lines, it's hard, man. And you have them that do it, but when you're truly that powerful, and we got other freshmen that are going to contribute and keep coming as well, but those three have played a ton of football. Linebacker, offensive tackle, and running back, which are three physical positions at this level of football, and it shows you, not only their athleticism, but their physical development and their mental toughness and ability to learn.
I was going to ask you between the ears for those. There's got to be a maturity.
And there's learning there, too. I mean, they understand it's a different grind. I mean, just like they say, those guys aren't used to every day in practice. And once that next game is, the next game's a grind, the next game's a grind, and how you preparing and all that. And they're getting used to that in practice. You can see that as they're getting better and better. But that's where it starts between the ears. I mean, it has the mental toughness to be able to do it and understand what's expected at this level, and to be able to still be in there and contributing and playing really good football.
And as you always say with student athletes, 2 full-time jobs. They have to do it while taking their classes.
They have to do that and manage time and manage everything else. And I can say it's the one sport that makes it tough is that, when you really start true school, a full load of school, your sport is active. It's the only one. You know what I mean? Like baseball and basketball, you get that semester ahead, and it's tough on them. It really is.
Yeah,
they're doing a really nice job.
To make that adjustment is, again, it's special. And I always say this, it's one thing to play college football, Jimbo. It's another to play SEC football.
Yeah, I mean, and like you say, it's not just to play, but you got to play at a winning level.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. Well, he can play, yeah, but, and you can see they're all 1-2 play games, and they're possessions that matter, and you can't – it's hard to let guys learn on the run.
Yeah, it really is. He's Jimbo Fisher. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We'll step aside. We will come back. Much more to come from Rudy's 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. This is Aggie football from Learfield. Howdy, Ags. Andrew Monaco here, inviting you all to visit Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill, Baja-style Mexican made from scratch daily. Serving breakfast tacos, lunch, and dinner. Aggie owned and operated by our friend Holly in South College Station. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. I want to play something as we start this next segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. After the game on Saturday, one of my favorite people on this team, one of my favorite people on this campus, Layden Robinson, talking about his quarterback, Connor Wigman.
I've seen a guy that never gave up. A guy that put us on his back, a guy that no matter how far down we was, we never looked at the scoreboard. He's that leader, that guy that you need in the huddle. Make no mistake, he is the quarterback that we need. That is a great quarterback right there. I don't care how this performance went. That is a great guy. That is a great quarterback, and that's my brother. We need to do a better job of protecting him up front, and we're going to do that. And he's going to take the front of leading us there. If y'all just see this guy on the sideline, y'all know what type of player he is. This game does not define him, and it's not going to define him. He is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football I've ever seen. I'm telling you, this guy right here, he's a guy. We just got to do our job.
I'm getting a 64 jersey. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
But you've always said players will pick your quarterback. And the closest to being that honorary lineman, it's close enough to Stephen McGee when he was here at quarterback, but Connor's got that respect from his teammates,
doesn't
he?
I mean, those guys they know who. And we have 2 good quarterbacks, but Connor's done a tremendous job, and those guys love him, and they'll play for him, and he'll play for them, and they know he'll stand in there and take shots and play. And this game, you got to do that. There's going to be that's part of the position, and they know. And he knows they're going to do everything for him, and they have great respect for him and the way he practices and the way he carries himself.
One thing, Bobby Petrino made me chuckle. Kind enough, you had me at a kickoff camp, and we're in with the quarterbacks, and he said, you know what, stand in there to the very last moment. You're going to get hit under the chin, and then you're going to be on the ground. But you know what, as you're on the ground, you're going to watch your teammate going into the end zone, and then you can get up and celebrate.
Exactly.
Right? It's that toughness that a quarterback needs.
Listen, if the quarterback's not the toughest guy out there, your team's not tough.
Yeah.
If the quarterback's not tough and competitive, it don't work that way. And you're the only guy, I say this, I've always said this, quarterbacks is the only guy, like 300-pound guys, it's the only position you stand there and you got to take it. And the other thing is, when those teammates see you do that, it changes how they play. That guy is willing to stand there and let 330-pound guys pound him. Us going across the middle and getting the ball, us running into a linebacker, us blocking extra, doing those extra things, it makes a difference. You show those things out. I mean, guys, and that's what creates that toughness for a team. But the guy with the ball, when he's got it, I mean, you go back and think of the great ones. All the great quarterbacks were tough son guns.
Mm-hmm.
the Bradys, the Favres, the Marinos back in the day, the Montana. Remember the Montanas, all the shots they used to take. Well, you go to the history. Johnny Unitas's, the Staubachs. I remember Terry Bradshaw in the Super Bowls. Remember he threw the great post pass to Lynn Swann, and Larry Cole hit him in the jaw, and he don't even remember it, never saw it. But those guys loved him. Those guys played. The Staubachs, remember, his shoulder be separated, pop it back in, and go play. It goes with the position. It goes with the territory. Troy Aikman standing in there and all the shots he took to win those Super Bowls. If you don't have one of those guys, you're never going to win at all.
And that's what he and Max possess. It's what Jalen possesses, what Marcel's learning.
They understand it, and they're getting the taste of it, and the guys are seeing them do it, and it just goes with the territory. You can gripe about it all you want. You're never going to be always blocking. You're going to have to stand there and deliver balls, and that's the game of football. That's it, because it rewards toughness and competitiveness. Do you hold your breath when, as a baseball player, he does not slide? No, you're smart enough to figure it out. They know when they can take shots, and it's always touchdown, first down, get down. If you can get a touchdown, you got to get it in there. If you can get a big first down, you got to get it in there. If you're not, you get down. And then how you get down, just protect yourself and be smart. Just a fantastic call, by the way, on his touchdown run. Yeah, we had a good run. He pulled it, and he made a good read on the end. We'd run it twice, and they collapsed on it. He made a good pull, and that's the other thing. He's got good legs. You don't realize it. When he scrambled, he's a good athlete. Guy played shortstop in baseball and been a high pick. You don't play middle infield at that level and not have good feet and athleticism. But he doesn't run on the first sign, right? He's going through the progression, which really shows the maturity. You got to feel the run. You can't look. See, if you're looking to run, you're not reading coverage. You got to read coverage, feel rush. That's the way you got to do it. You don't look at the rush. If you're looking at the rush, you can never be a good quarterback. Your eyes are down. Your eyes can never be down. You feel it as a second nature thing and what's in front of you and the instincts, and also by how they're covering your passes. And if you got space in front of you, you can run because you know what's in front of you that way too. So, it's a feel thing along with reading down the field. You made a comment, a couple of things on Monday at the media availability. He's responsible for mic declaration, and you also talked about the slide protections. Oh, well, all that. That's the mic slide it. Wherever you move the mic and in your protection, that's where the line goes. They're geared to go, and he sets the protection, so he knows who's blocked and who's unblocked and everything. And you got to make those calls, and sometimes they stem late. Sometimes you miss them. You got hot routes to get the ball out or side adjust routes. And always remember, when people blitz, they can always blitz one more than you can block. I don't care what you say. They can always, because the quarterback's holding the ball, so they got one more guy. And different ways to pick things up, and he's got to control that, and he did a good job. A couple times we slipped up, and other times we got beat on the block, but we made a lot of good throws. It wasn't the first half, there wasn't very much, except the two main pressures were we just didn't get the mic declared right. Other than that, we blocked it pretty good. For this offense, we talked about Amari. Did they try to take Noah Thomas away in that first half, and then he seemed to really get loose a little bit more in that second half? Well, he did, but not really. I think their coverages in the man and some of the formations we were in, and we give our quarterbacks freedom where the one-on-ones are, where the ball can go based off. It's not I call it to him because we have a primary we're calling it to, but if the coverages are taking that away or whatever else, they're creating mismatches everywhere, we know he's allowed to go there. But eventually, if everybody gets the ball spread around, it's going to come back to you. Like I said, the best friend a receiver can have is another great receiver, and really three. When you have three of them, and a tight end can catch the ball, because somebody's got to be one-on-one. Yeah, and you got to know where zero is all times, right? Yes. You have to know where one is. And we had a lot of calls to him that they took away, and then a couple we misread. We didn't get to him, but we got to get that ball in his hands a little more too. Is that also about, Jimbo, you say the tempo, get to that line of scrimmage so Connor can have that time as well? Exactly. Get there, get set, get lined up, and make them declare. So you got more time before the 40-second clock goes down. And it's going as fast as it's ever going in college football right now because we're fitting games in time frame. And that's part of why that's the big reason why you're taking the plays out. They say safety. It's to fit it in a time frame for your windows for TV. And I know that's part of the game. It is what it is. You're taking 8 plays away, but at the end of the day, call it like it is. And so they're trying to get that thing set in those time frames, just like the NFL is. In a certain amount of time, they want that game so they can structure those games through. So they're getting that clock set, and you got to get there. You got to get your calls in. You got to get recognition. You got to get the tempo. You got to get all those things done, and we're getting better at it. And even on offense, you want more than a glimpse? Oh, you got to have more than a glimpse because you got to get your calls. You have your hurry-up calls. Yeah. When people say go fast, but here's the two things that happen when you go fast. It's good. You can catch them off guard, but you can catch them so screwed up they're not lined up, it screws you up. You don't know what to read? You don't know what to read or where they're at because they're misconstrued because their calls aren't it. It can go – it nullifies – And then that's why you put gang play. You'll try to zone plays or gap plays where you'll zone them all or block them and kick them out where no matter what they're in, you got a thing. And you adjust to those, but you got to. It's a fine line between. Then you want to make sure where they're at so you can get hats to a hat. So it can work both ways on you.
It's like one big chess match, Coach.
No, it is. That's what it always is. It's all constant and trying to get the advantage and get the right calls. And the big thing is you got to get the right calls and put a hat on a hat and then execute. And your guy's got to block their guy, and he's got to get open. You got to throw and catch. You got to run. Or you got to block, or you got to get off a block, tackle, and do the same thing. Make a coverage.
This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We will continue from Rudy's when we return. This is Aggie football from Learfield. Barker's Heating and Cooling is proud to be the official heating and cooling provider for Texas A&M Athletics, earning your seal of approval since 1974. A lot's changed since then, but our pride in Aggie football and our commitment to providing great service remains as strong as ever. Barker says, gig 'em, Aggies. Aggies and ULM on Saturday at Kyle Field, 3 o'clock is the kick. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Jimbo, here you go. Linda, getting right to it. Correction to the secondary? Question mark?
Well, it's secondary and man-to-man coverage, and also not getting thrown down. And that's not a thing, but at the same time you do. But listen, the physicality on those plays, it is what it is. And if they don't call them, they don't call them.
Right.
You got to battle, and you got to play through it. Like I said, everybody said we didn't tackle. We tackled well in the run.
Yeah.
They averaged less than almost 2 yards a run. We played the run extremely well. We played it well this year, our front. And when they got us, got some space on some passes, and a couple of them receivers are big. We were tackling them, we had one arm around and one arm trying to strip. The big guy broke two or three times. Now, there's 2 tackles by safeties that we should have got on the ground big time that we didn't. And the scramble out, and they hit a couple plays and hit the go routes, and then when we still should have got down. But, they made plays on the one-on-one when you're pressing and, trying to take away throws and get on top. And they got to play coverage. You got to play top down. They got to play through the ball, and then they got to get the guy on the ground. And we tackle well in the front 7. We just didn't tackle well in the back end and what we're doing, and that's a big part of it. We did the first week, and we did during camp.
Yeah. Yeah,
they made plays. They made good plays and made some contested catches.
You were asked on that call earlier this morning about the tackling, and you've always said this team knows how to thud and to thump.
Oh,
you do that every day.
We do it every day. I mean, we're in pads Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're not out of pads in any day. So we're always thud and step. We don't always take to the ground, but we're hitting. I mean, we're thudding, stepping on the toes, hitting on the rise, wrapping up every day in practice. We do good on good. So we do drills. We start drills out with the offense and defensive guys with each other doing those screen drills where they're having to go tackle in space, get off blocks. We work that continually and religiously daily. We just didn't get a couple guys on the ground. They made plays, and we'll get better at it.
The one play that stands out to me, one of many, is 6'6" Shamar Stewart tracking down. Tyler Van Dyke thought he was going to get outside.
Oh, yeah.
And he never did. Well,
those big guys, man, can run. Those guys are like skill guys. I mean, those guys can run on the edge, and they're big, and got the sack on the edge. And he did that. Last week he did it on the reverse. Unfortunately, he caught the face mask. But that guy, he's a big guy who can run. And also their length. You got to remember, when those guys are 6'6", that wingspan's almost 7 foot. You're usually 82, 83 inches wingspan. And that's almost 7 foot when you're reaching. You can get your hands to people.
But that's what you always talk about. In high school, you can bounce it outside, and maybe a linebacker, maybe a safety is going to get you. In the SEC, a lineman's going to try to get
exactly right. It's the difference. The way the speed and athleticism of the guys up front in this front 7, I mean, and the SEC in general is really good. And those big bodies that can run and cover ground.
Describe, you said this on Monday, that transition from run to pass. That was something you made a point of.
And they play action and got some good slide protections and banged it and got some one-on-ones. And it's hard to come off 7, man. You read and run, you're getting a run action, and then all of a sudden it transitions to pass, and you got to transition into your pass rush. And we got to do a little better job of that and helping them and recognizing that to get that transition. But if you ignore it, then obviously you get busted in the run too. They had some good play actions, and they maxed 7-man protected and did a good job. Four, whether you had 3-man front or 4-man front, they did it. Chipped the tight ends, got them out, and got some one-on-ones. I mean, we had 2 or 3 guys covering. They found the one-on-one. Once they got us on a stud or a double move. Once they got us on a go. One time they hit us on a curl. We made the tackle, and they spun out. And we got 2 critical interference calls. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of them, and what we did. And one we grabbed the shoulder, and the other was close on the sideline. That was a tussle, but, it is what it is.
I always follow up with you. One, correctable?
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Everything's correctable. Usually gets back. You either lined up wrong, your assignment was wrong, your technique was wrong. and you got to play with maximum effort in what you're doing.
And I always follow up. How's practice been this week?
I tell you what, I thought Monday was good. Tuesday was really good offensively. I really liked it, and they got after it. They got after the defense a little bit. Defense had a good – today, defense come back, was knocking the offense up front. They were getting after each other up front today. They both sides were getting after it good. I mean, there's an edge on there, and then offense picked up in the second half of practice. I thought practice good first half, really good second. Defense I thought was outstanding, and as I say, got their confidence back and got quit worrying about the like they don't let one become two. And I was very pleased with their practice today. And offense was good and really good yesterday. So hopefully we'll come back tomorrow with a really good day. And I thought we kicked the ball well today.
Is that what you always focus on with that maturity and experience?
You got to move on.
Like
no matter what, once Sunday comes, the game's flushed.
Yeah.
You make your corrections. You move on. You can't let one become two, and you got to move on. You got to go. But you got to correct the mistakes and be willing to accept them and not feel bad. And listen, ain't nobody feels worse than those kids do. Ain't nobody feels worse than those kids do. They carry it on their shoulders. I mean, they really do. But at the same time, this is a business of it's going to turn over quickly. It's like football. The next play, one bad play, you got to do all right. Minimize the damage. Go to the next play. Forget it and do your job. And that's what mature teams do and mature players do. And that's hopefully I believe we'll bounce back and play well. But that's what we need to do, and we got to get out of that funk and make sure we come back. Don't let one become two. See our maturity and our leadership. And I had a meeting with the leadership group today, and they were greeted. And you could tell they got into the guys in a good way and have pushed them. And not that they weren't the other day, but just keep reminding them it's easy to lead when you're winning. You got to lead when you're bad, and not negatively,
right?
And not just but just by example and keeping just energy, enthusiasm, guys wanting to go play. And you just got to brush it off and hey, go to the next one.
We got some great news this week that Terry Price will be inducted into the Southwestern Conference Hall of Fame. The Texas Sports Hall of Fame announced that. So, TP, look, 88's always going to be with us, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But for him to go in there, unfortunately, it's posthumously, you know what I mean? Yep. But well-deserved for Terry.
Oh, extremely well-deserved for him and his family and what he's meant as a person, as a player, as a coach to this league and everything that went on in Southwest Conference and what he did in the SEC.
Had a chance to talk with Shamar Stewart leading up to the Miami game, and he said, I miss him so much. He goes, I wish he would yell at me just one more time, right? Because it was all out of love, right?
No,
for all those guys.
What I say. Those guys, when those guys can get on guys, that's the guys that can really coach because they can push guys because they players know they care, so those guys allow those coaches to push them, and Terry was one of those guys. That he always had their back.
Yep, and it wasn't just his guys, right, Jimbo? It was the entire team, right?
Terry was a staff guy, a big picture guy, understood that whole, didn't, as I say, sometimes coaches see things through a straw, through their own position or through their own world or what affects their players. Terry saw what his position could do for the whole team, you know what I mean? And was a very, I call them big picture guys. They handled their business, but within the concept of the whole organization. And some people can't do that, you know what I mean? And some can. And that doesn't make good and bad, but he was as a head coach, you appreciated that, and he understood that and always made that aware to his players because that's how you divide teams ever get divided or it's about everybody. And Terry understood that, man. He was awesome. He was awesome. He was awesome.
Much more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. When we return to Rudy's, this is Aggie Football from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to provide a trip for 12 to the Ole Miss game. That's on November 4th. To register for the 12th Fan trip, visit 12thman.com/12thfan. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud corporate partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I need to give a shout out because right now the West Texas Fair and Rodeo is going on in Abilene. Fresh cut fries. It's been a tradition there for 70 years, and the Abilene A&M Club has the Aggie Fry booth. All the money raised from that fry booth, Jimbo, goes to A&M students from the Abilene area. They do it. They've done it for 70 years. My friend Jim Vance owns our affiliate out there, the Country Giant 106.9, and it's a great time of year. It's all volunteer, and it's just.
Let me ask something. Is there something better than state fairs and fried food? State fairs and fried food. What you can fry at a state. You see more fried things at a state fair than any event in the. I don't care what them old funnel cakes, those Oreos, or you have great fried chicken. You have what would you say they had there? Fried what?
It's all the fries. It's the Aggie fries, the hot Aggie fries.
They fry everything.
Yeah.
That stuff. You get so. You go home and when you were a kid. And between that and the cotton candy, about 1 in the morning, you wonder why you'd be in there just on
stomach ache.
You in the bathroom?
Right?
No, you wasn't no stomach ache. It was coming. I mean, you'd be, and then whatever you ate. I mean, those days of just ride, because what's bad, you'd go eat it, then go ride something way up in the air, around and around, about 100 miles an hour, and never settle. I mean, that was a good old days.
How many times did you say, I'm not doing that again, and then proceeded to do it again?
I didn't ever say I wasn't doing it again. I just did it. I just liked it both so much. I mean, we had those fairs back home when I was growing up, but they were a blast. But the fried food and the stuff was out that stuff. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, you can get chili on them, cheese, jalapenos, or bonfire seasoning. Yeah. 70-something, over 70 years of that. I just wanted to. It's that time of year when they do it, and again, it's all volunteer out there, and that's a great group from Abilene, that's for sure. Steve has a question for you, Jimbo. It has the new rules on offense been positive or negative on your offense, and does it affect how much rest the starters get in a game?
Not really. It hasn't affected us. I mean, like last week, we had 90-some plays. I mean, you're trying to cut play. They had 60 plays. We had 90. We had the ball, moved the ball, did all that. They hit big plays, but I mean, and the week before, we only had 62, but we hit so many big plays, So, I mean, there's a little feel of it. You can tell it. You got to be careful managing the clock, for instance. Even you get to 2-minute drill, once it gets inside 2, it stops like the old days. But, we used to be when you had 2:30, 2:50, that was an eternity because that was another minute when you got, all the stoppage. Now you don't have that until you hit 2. So there's a little difference, but we haven't really felt it yet. But that's the biggest. And we managed both 2-minute situations for the half really well. Yeah. And even at the game we did. We got down the field, and we got down the week before and missed a field goal, and this week we missed a field goal, but we're getting in position to make points.
You managed it with no timeouts against New Mexico and just one timeout, right, in that first half? So
in Miami, I mean, that was no problem. We got down there, and we do that. We do 2-minute stuff a lot. We work 2-minute, and I'm a big believer in that, always have. I mean, I won a national championship in 2 minutes. I mean, there was 1 year, I remember at LSU, we won 3 games in 2 minutes. I mean, you do those things, and the more you work, you just get kids used to how much time 2 minutes really is, or how much time at minute 30, how much time 45 seconds are, and it's they always the old adage, be quick but don't hurry. There's more time there than you think. You got to be quick, but you got to be under control, and just getting them used to that and managing it in all the situations.
And when you had success like that with your teams, Jimbo, did they then
the 7
thrive?
Overtime game. You get back to the 7 overtime game, remember?
Yeah.
That was a 2-minute drive that tied it up. We got that ball clocked with 1 second. Remember, it was a big controversy, and we hit the pass and tied it. And, we've always been able to work 2 minutes. A couple of years ago in 2020, I think we scored 6 or 7 times right before the half.
Right before the half.
And coming out, we were able to. We didn't have to do it at the end. We were hit.
Which is always great. You love the kneel down, right?
But you got to work those things. You got to get used to it. And you got to get used to that part, too. Running out the clock. Yeah. How to run out the clock and do those things. So we spend a lot of time on that.
He's Jimbo Fisher. It's the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. We will come back. We're going to talk about ULM. We'll start that Saturday at 3 at Kyle Field. When we return, it's Aggie football from Learfield. Rudy's is a proud sponsor of Aggie football. Be sure to stop by your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com for some real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. We're here every Wednesday, except that bye week for the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. No bye this week, Coach. Challenged by ULM. Will it be a little bit different for you to look across the field and see Terry Bowden?
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird. I mean, that's the guy I played for. He was my college coach. He recruited me out of high school, and I turned him down. I didn't go at first. I went and played baseball at Clemson, and then come back and played, and it was a great decision for me to do it. I mean, he and I have been through a lot. We won. I mean, every year we played, we won a championship. Every year I was his quarterback. The first 2 years we were conference champions, went to the national playoffs. We had some phenomenal. We led the country in offense. My senior year, my junior year I wasn't with him. He went to Akron. I stayed there, and then I went my senior year at Stanford. We led the nation. I was number 1 in the country. Had another championship year. I mean, we won together, and then we started coaching again. And I love coaching. I love it. He was driven. He was smart. Give me the opportunity to coach, which I wanted to do, and always treated me like his family. I mean, always treated me like his. I mean, that's where I got with Coach Bowden. When we get down and visit him at Florida State, where they go to the house. Well, guess who went with him? Who stayed in the house? Who stayed at Bobby's house? I slept. I mean, they always took care of me. They took me to bowl games with Coach Bowden. I learned to be around and do things the right way and how things were done, and organizationally treating people Bob and family was nothing but class. And like I say, Terry, you talk about a smart guy. He was a magna cum laude graduate out of high school, out of college. He was studied at Oxford, England. He's a lawyer. He got his law degree as he GA'd at Florida State. With all the hours you GA'd at, he got a law degree as he GA'd. That's how smart he was. I mean, never slept, he was driven like that. He was always up 4 a.m, driving, coaching, loved the game. And at Sanford, we had great times and won. Went to Auburn. In 93, I think he did as fine a job as I've ever been around in coaching. Took over a job, it was on probation, and had by Coach Dye, who was a great coach, but they'd struggled for a couple of years. Went in and went 11-0 right off the bat, and then won the first. We won the first 20 in a row. The second long, we had a 29-game win streak when I was at Florida State. We had a 20-game win streak there, in the SEC, and did a fine job and coach and smart and just. I can't say enough about them and his brother Jeff and Tom. I mean, I was around them so much and their family, and they just all the kids and all the family. It's family. It's weird. 2 things. 1, it's weird to see them, and 2, it makes me, God, how old we got, how we get to this point. I mean, when it started, and all those good memories back when we were just coaching for peanuts. Yeah. And we'd still be coaching for peanuts. Why we coach? Because we love to coach, and nobody loved it more than him, and I learned the right way to do things.
Did he help spark that coaching for you? And again, quarterback's got to be a coach on that field.
No, it was funny because Jeff was the OC and he was the head coach, and he coached the line and me. And then Jeff coached the receiver. So I had a position coach, but I bounced between them. So and they did it and when I would go, it was a funny thing. Like when we would go to games, on away games, back then in small college, you'd bust. Mm-hmm. So if you had a 4 or 5 hour bus ride, sometimes he rode, but mainly he rode when I played, he rode in a cop car like his dad. His dad always rode in a cop car, never owned a bus. There was a state trooper that always took him. So Terry always had a state trooper take him to the game. The bus would ride and he would ride the state trooper. And I wasn't allowed to ride the bus. When I was a freshman quarterback, I had to ride in the car with him. And we would sit there for 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours, however far we had to go, and go over the game plan over and over and over. And he wanted to make sure I knew every call of everything, and I knew every blocking assignment. I could tell you what, every guard, every tackle, every center, every call, every receiver, every tight end, I had to know them all. Because on the field then, you didn't have all the community. I would correct them and do it. And I learned them, and we would go over that thing. I knew it like he did it. And he taught me the preparation, and all that stuff. And we would ride in the hours. And I always tease him because he was a James Taylor fan. I knew every James Taylor song that was ever written. He would sit there and sing them all, and he always played and every once in a while. And after I did it for a couple games, I said, Coach, can we listen? I know you love it. Can you give me a little music time? I wasn't a music guy. I love music, but music wasn't my thing. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in it. I said, just somebody besides James Taylor. Nope, we left James Taylor right in there. So he was the coach, but
head coach prerogative right there, right?
It was. I'll tell you a funny story back then, how different it was. We were getting ready to get on a bus, and that's when kind of mullets were in, or your longer hair and all that. But back then, you could not have the hair stick out of your helmet. Our team rule. I was Coach Bowden. Your hair did not stick out of your helmet. You could not have any facial hair below the lip. So you had no sideburns. You couldn't have sideburns, beard, and you could have a mustache. I couldn't grow a mustache, so it didn't matter. And I'll never forget, we went to get on a bus, and sometimes I tease our guys all the time. Their hair is their deal. If I cut their hair for every missed assignment, we'd be perfect. You know what I'm saying? They'd never have a missed assignment. I joke about it. But I'll never forget, we were getting on a bus one day. I was getting on. It didn't matter. I was a quarterback. Hey, your hair's too long. Didn't have a. He said, your hair's too long. You either cut it out, and we're getting on the bus. So I said, trainer, where's the trainer? I said, I told him, get his scissors. I said, clip it across there. We clip it across. I'll fix it when I get back. Ball was more important. Cut my hair. We cut it right there. Got on. We got in the thing and took off. And I was allowed to go on the trip. Yeah. There's stuff like that. You just remember so much of that stuff and traveling. Those trips you give. You love flying and all that stuff now, but those old bus rides, man, you give $1 million for them. Yeah. What you learned, the camaraderie and all that stuff. And back in the day when you loved everything. You still do, but just did it. You loved it and had a great relationship with him. When him and his family meant the world to me. Have great respect for him, and it'll be weird.
It will. It definitely will on the other side of Kyle Field. 3 o'clock on Saturday, the Aggies and the ULM Warhawks. We'll come back. One final segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. As we wrap up the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit, the A-team is here. Jeanette Munchow is here. Jeanette is in for Kevin, not feeling well. Got a little bit of a bug. We'll have him on Saturday, but Jeanette's here and Tony's back at the Learfield studios. So we got Jeanette Munchow. And I'm not saying that's the A-team. Kevin is the one who said it's the A-team, so he knows. So, Jimbo, just a couple of minutes left. Instead of focusing so much on ULM, what do you want to see from the Aggies this Saturday against the
I want to
Hawks?
see the urgency. We got to take care of the turnovers and the big plays. We got to create them, stop them, take care of the ball, create some turnovers, again, and get back in the rhythm. Just get back and let last week go. Go back and play this game. Forget about that one. Be the best team we can be this week. Get better, correct things, get guys playing well, playing fast on all three phases, and then get ready and go, and then play the next game after that. But we have to practice well, play well, and play them one at a time. Because listen, there's a lot of football left. Your narrative's in your hands, and that's all you can ask. And we have a good football team. I really believe that. And we'll correct these things and move on. But we need to practice well and play well, and not have self-inflicted wounds. Take care of the business and capitalize on opportunities when we keep people there. I always tell our players, when you're a really good football player, if you're up 40 or down 40, when they turn the film on, they can't tell the difference. So in other words, when you get up on people, you can turn the film on, you're playing just as hard. And when you're behind, that allows you to come back and bring it out. And I say this, make sure we're playing the game the right way, doing things the whole time, and executing at a high level.
And that was the thing. You gave yourself a chance.
Oh, we did. And we let it slip through, and then had opportunities to come back. And it wasn't from lack of want to. I said, we got to get more technical and better. And we had some chances. We could have converted. We got field goals. We could have had some touchdowns. We had a couple. We slipped, and I didn't have a ball come out. Don't get a call or two, but that's game, man. At the end of the game, life ain't always right. You do things the right way. You work through things, and that's just there's going to be some go for you. And I always say this: the aggressive teams and the most aggressive teams usually get calls going their way. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way the game goes, and people migrate that way. So we have to do the right things, play well, and get better.
Look forward to it. It will be on Saturday. Beat the hell out of ULM. You bet. Right. He is Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, and as we mentioned, it will be a 3 o'clock kick at Kyle Field. The Aggies and the ULM Warhawks, who are 2-0 after wins over Army and Lamar. And we'll join you at 2 o'clock with our St. Joseph Health pregame show. We will hear from the 12th man, Sam Matthews. It will be in his own words. Will Johnson goes one-on-one with Anaya Smith. You'll have the keys from Dave Elmendorf as the Aggies take on the ULM Warhawks. Again, it comes your way. 3:01 foot to ball. That's when we will kick things off. And our pregame show comes to you at 2 o'clock, all along the Texas A&M Sports Network. Again, Jeanette Menchow is our engineer here at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Tony O'Neill is the producer of Aggie football in our Learfield studios. For head coach Jimbo Fisher, I'm Andrew Monaco. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks and gig 'em.